This month, the 13th happens to land on a Friday, which means I'm going to be talking about one of horror's biggest franchises, Saw. That doesn't seem right. I'm going to be reviewing all 12 of the Friday the 13th films. Just as a side note, I was actually born on a Friday the 13th. So I've always felt like I've had a little connection to this series. I was actually going to be named Jason, but my mom swiftly said no to that. Now I have the complete Blu-ray collection, which comes with this really nifty book full of memories and quotes and whatever. And it also comes with every film nicely displayed. Even includes the documentary Crystal Lake Memories, which I haven't watched. That was a cool band though. Let's start off with the first film that kicked this entire series off. Well, technically this film was supposed to be a cheap cash-in on Halloween. Friday 13th was Paramount trying to kind of capture some of that magic. And that's why you get a lot of the point of view shots and ambiguous killer that you don't know their motivations or really where they came from or what they're doing. You get a little more backstory in Halloween sprinkled throughout with the psychiatrist. Friday 13th, it kind of all comes at the end. My pros for this film would have to be that it is the first one. Regardless of if you think it's the best one or not, it's still the first one. There's remnants of the first film kind of sprinkled throughout the other ones. When Betsy Palmer is revealed to be the killer at the end, her monologue is terrific. She brings such a presence onto the screen and it's fascinating to watch. It's just kind of a shame that she's only actually present for like the last 10 minutes of the film. I'm sure it's pretty common knowledge by now that this film is actually Kevin Bacon's very first performance. That's saying something. He gets stabbed through the neck and is probably one of the best kills in this first film. When we're talking about great characters of the Friday the 13th series, you have Jason, his mother, and then the crazy bike guy who I'm not sure ever has a name or a purpose. He just shows up on his bike, tells a bunch of kids that they're gonna die, laughs, and then rides away. It adds a memorable moment amongst a cast of people that you don't really care about and would rather forget. Retrospectively, it's kind of weird to think that a middle-aged woman could go around slaughter an entire camp of kids that are younger, faster, more agile than her, and also drag their bodies off within seconds of killing them. And one of the cliches that this film definitely is very guilty of, that's been parodied in Scream and Scary Movie, is the falling down. Characters will walk 10 steps, fall down, look back, watch as the killer slowly walks towards them, get up, run another 10 steps, then fall down again. Very frustrating to watch, and you really feel like they're just trying to drag out the runtime. I will have to say, on the positive note, the very ending is one of the most effective scares out of any film I can remember. Every single time I know it's coming, I know he's going to jump out of the lake. You have to give the movie props for having a genuine jump scare compared to the rest of the film, which isn't really that scary to today's standards. Overall, Friday the 13th is definitely not the worst in the series. It starts it out on a fairly decent note. It has a cool twist, and I think Betsy Palmer's performance is probably one of the best in the entire series. Now, on to the sequel. Friday the 13th Part 2. This is actually the first appearance of Jason Voorhees, and he doesn't have his hockey mask. Instead, he wears a sack on his head. But he definitely brings a presence that is a lot more opposing than his mother, and he feels a lot more threatening whenever he's on screen. The sack kind of keeps that mysterious, ambiguous feel that, say, Michael Myers has. One of the things I really liked about this film is they had one of the characters from the first film that actually lived return. She came back to the camp. They kind of actually tied the films together. She uses her knowledge about Mrs. Voorhees and the way she acted against Jason. That's probably the smartest thing that this series has ever produced, is the psychology of Jason's mother being used against him. You really see that there's a driving force behind Jason to avenge his mother who was avenging him. Unfortunately, though, Alice is kind of the only noteworthy character. You have the Bicycle Man returns very briefly. There's a really cool kill involving a wheelchair. Kids play strip Monopoly. Or is that the first one? Basically, this is almost a carbon copy of the first film, but just with a more opposing killer. And the comic relief character is a fucking dick. Like, seriously, he prank jump scares people about 5 times. The first time it's like, okay. Second time it's like, dude, you suck. Third time it's like, just fuck off, guy. Just, why'd we even invite you? Just go. This isn't appropriate at all. He's pranking people right after other characters have died. That's gonna kind of become a returning theme in the series is stupid, terrible characters. You know why Jason's the best character out of all these films? Because he doesn't open his goddamn mouth. Overall, Friday 13th Part 2 is very watchable. I like the thin lines that are connected to the first films that drag over with Alice and Jason's relationship to his mother. As I said, for the first film, one of the pros was the jump scare at the end. They do the same exact one here. It's okay. Fool me once. Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. Don't let these glasses fool you. It is not half as exciting as it sounds. This is probably the worst film in the series. In fact, it's so terrible, I'm going to take these really cool 3D glasses off my fucking face. Friday the 13th as a series started out as a cash-in on the Halloween films. And they continue to just go with the trends, implementing what I like to call 3D bait whenever they possibly can. 3D bait is pretty much whenever like a yo-yo. When a character is doing a yo-yo and it's going right at the screen, it frustrates me. That's not how 3D should be implemented. 3D should be atmospheric. Whatever, that's a completely different discussion. I literally have no positives for this film except for he gets his hockey mask and he shoots a guy in the neck with a harpoon gun. And probably one of the great... Here, just watch this scene. It's so good. He lifts it up, and the guy's just saying there like, no, no. Jason's like, yeah. And it goes, killed him. He could have moved, but he didn't. These films show, I don't know the point of them. This one is you have the worst fucking characters I could ever just imagine being around. It's annoying. It's, besides the harpoon kill and Jason getting his mask, this movie is shit. Please don't ever subject yourself to the torture that is this film. So we go from one of the worst films, not just in the series, but probably ever made, into probably my favorite film in the series. One of the most watchable ones. Friday 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. You have Crispin Glover, the year before he was in Back to the Future, a very young Corey Feldman, just playing a fucking awesome kid that ends up killing Jason. He's 12 in the film. And you have like main characters that aren't completely dreadful. It doesn't entirely take place at the camp. It actually takes place in like a summer home. And there's a party house next to it. But the characters are actually interesting to watch, and I like their interactions. The dialogue isn't completely horrible. It sounds like actual conversations that dumb kids would have. I don't think anyone believed when they went to the film expecting it to actually be the final one. That's kind of a track with films like these. But this one's actually enjoyable. It's a little hard to believe that like a 12-year-old kid could defeat Jason on his own. But fuck it, it's Corey Feldman. And I actually enjoyed this film probably the best out of all of them so far. It's more entertaining than the first one. I'll say that. Then it falls kind of backwards on Friday 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. So at the end of Part 4, they kind of hinted that Corey Feldman, since he killed Jason, he would actually take over as Jason, or Jason was influencing him psychologically, forcing him to kind of take up the mantle. because he crossed that line into killing him. This film takes place many years after. There's a very short cameo flashbacks to Corey Feldman in a psychologist's office, and they just kind of replay that scene. That's something I haven't mentioned yet, is every one of these films' first 10 minutes is just replaying the ending of the last film. I'm not kidding. It's literally playing without cutting or editing the last 10 minutes of the previous film. These films are 80 minutes long. Probably 65 minutes of it is actual new shit that they filmed, if you take out the credits. Anyway, so Corey Feldman's character Tommy is all grown up now. He's living in a mental institution with other people with personalities, I guess. And people start dying. And no one knows why. He feels like it's his fault because everyone knows Jason is dead. But they don't know if there's a new killer. Maybe he came back from the dead somehow. And it could be a really interesting story of following the digression of a person slowly taking over the personality of a psychopathic murderer. But that's not what happens at all, really. There's some stupid redneck characters that are just the grossest people I think I've ever watched in a film. They're just disgusting. And I just wanted to skip every scene that they were in. There's a girl in a room that is listening to music so loud that she can't hear a person walking behind her. I could have told you that you heard it all before. But now you're in suspense, you have to wait for more. In all those mysteries, you're taken by surprise. You never thought to see that look was in your eyes. The thing is, the music isn't even that loud in the scene, so it's very weird how she just doesn't turn around at all. She just dances in that one spot. Turns out at the end, Tommy wasn't the killer. It was the paramedic. Spoilers. But really, don't fucking watch this film, so that's not a spoiler. I'm just saving you, like, hey, it's a paramedic. Just move on. In fact, just skip this film and then go right into Sits. Go from 4 to Sits. Which Sits has probably the best intro to any of these films. It kicks off with Tommy at a graveyard, and he's like, I gotta make sure Jason is fucking dead. So what does he do? He opens up the grave, he takes a pole, and he stabs it in Jason's chest, and lightning strikes it, reanimating Jason's body. It is such a cool, fun, interesting scene, and it's so ridiculous to the point that it brings a lot of fun to the series. Which is something the series always lacked. It's kind of taken itself a little seriously. So this intro is really surprisingly fun. And Jason is now immortal. He's a fucking zombie now. And then Jason goes to summer camp. There's actually a police officer involved this time, which I guess is interesting. Except he's not. But the summer camp is actually a summer camp. They never had the camp operational up until now. It's always been the counselors getting there before camp actually started. So there's actually kids in this film. Which adds a lot of tension because you're like, hey, there's a lot of danger because these kids can't fight Jason. Does Jason kill them because he's one of them, but they were picking on him? I mean, it actually brings an interesting dynamic. It's how would Jason react if the camp was filled with kids? So the beginning's really good. The ending is good. The whole middle is just okay, I guess. It's okay. But this is definitely one of the more entertaining and watchable of the series. So that concludes the first half of my Friday the 13th series. Let's just recap real quick. Friday the 13th Part 1, watch. Friday the 13th Part 2, watch. Part 3, fucking destroy that film. Part 4, buy it. That one's really good. Part 5, nope, don't, no. Sits, I watch Sits. So 1, 2, 4, and Sits. Those are the good ones from the first half. Please click here to watch my part 2 of my Friday the 13th reviews.